Well, hello everybody. Danny and Wanda back from Pecan Grove. We are out here where we had the 60-foot raised bed at. We had our garden below that raised bed, and I just wasn't happy with the way it performed and the fact that it's on a steep hillside. It kept wanting to wash on us. So I told Wanda, I said, you know what? We're going to plant a fruit orchard there so we can just keep it mowed. And I think that would be the best thing for us to do. Well, we were trying to figure out what we was going to plant down here. And I remembered, if y'all watched our videos this past year, Mr. Jerry called us and said, I've got some peaches if you want to come pick some. So Wanda and I are not thinking anything massive, you know, we're just thinking, okay, a couple of peach trees, you know, we're going to go pick a few peaches. So I carried a couple of 5-gallon buckets with me because I didn't want to put too many in a bucket to bruise them. Guys, I got there. Mr. Jerry has, I believe it was 55, if I'm not mistaken, peach trees in an old garden place that he used to have. Me and Wanda ain't never seen the most beautiful peaches hanging there that we've ever seen in our life, that has not been chemically sprayed to death. I'm being honest with you. There were thousands of peaches hanging in that orchard. I'm talking about thousands. Big old, beautiful, white peaches. And I knew right then, this is a man that I need to get all the information from that I can get, because he knows what he's doing. And we picked the peaches, and I told Mr. Jerry, I said, Mr. Jerry, he showed me he had a little tub over there. He had a few peach trees in it. I told him, I said, I will buy some of them peach trees from you if you want to sell them. And he told me, he said, well, I tell you what, he said, come this winter, check back with me, he said, and I'll give you a couple of them. So knowing it's the time of the year to plant peach trees, I called Mr. Jerry, and I said, Mr. Jerry, I said, I will buy some of these peach trees from you if you still have a few you want to sell. And he told me, he said, nope, don't got none I'll sell you, but I'll give you a few. And I said, well, I'll be more than happy to pay for them. He said, no. He said, I told you last year I'd give you some. He said, when you get ready, just come get them. And I said, well, is right now all right? Because I didn't have nothing to do at the moment. And, well, that's not really true, but I mean, I always have something to do. But I was so giddish and excited. We just took off and went over there, made the trip, got there, and Mr. Jerry took us out there, and he just took a shovel, and he started digging up these peach trees, guys. Look, I want to show you something. They ain't no nursery ever produced peach trees as beautiful with a root system like these has got as these have. And Mr. Jerry, he gave me, I don't know how many, see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be 10 of them. He told me about 10 I could have, so I guess he counted them when he dug them up. Gave us 10 peach trees. And you can see the root system on the other one I'm putting out here. He planted them in a tub that was a worm bin. It used to be an old worm bin. And I'm telling you guys, he just dumped the seeds in there, and these things has got the most beautiful root systems on them. Now, I asked him, I said, now, Mr. Jerry, I said, look, I know you know what you're doing. I just want to know how to put these trees in the ground. I want to know everything about these trees, because these trees has been in his family for over 60 years. And he told me, he said, well, he said, main thing you want to do is put some fireplace ashes around the ground in the hole when you plant the tree. He said, and just keep them well watered for the first year. He said, and main thing is this right here. I want to show you what the main thing he showed me was right here. Cut that tree off. He said, this thing of these old trees growing up here real tall and then bushing them all out and all that kind of stuff, he said, no. He said, you don't want to do that. He said, and cut these limbs off, like these little long limbs sticking here. You want to pick a bud that's going out to the side, like there's one right there that's going out to the side, and you want to clip it just above that bud. You want to cut that off. And now this one's okay right here. He said that'll make that tree, you've already got some lateral branches right here, right here. He said you want that tree to sprout out as close to the ground as you can so that you can get it to spread way out and you can keep that middle open in it. You don't want these big old tall trees up here that you can't pick them to start with. And look, I'm all ears because the man knows what he's doing because his peaches were beautiful. He said cut them off about 1.5 feet high and just let them branch out. And he said, I think you'll do pretty good. Now, what I have here is we got some fireplace ashes here we take out of our wood heater. And I even added some rabbit manure right there because we got piles of rabbit manure I saved. That's old rabbit manure from last year. I'm saving it and I'm putting it down in the hole with the tree because rabbit manure is mostly phosphorus and roots need phosphorus to really get a good establishment and get going good. So I'm trying to get all this done ahead of this rain. We got some rain coming Saturday and I'm trying to get this done ahead of the rain and ahead of the really, really cold weather we got coming because I'd really like to have all this done before the freeze actually hits. Have them in the ground, have all this done because I'm probably going to pile some hay around them. That's my hay, it's not store-bought hay. I'm probably going to put some of that around them. And guys, I just hope and pray that I can do these trees justice to the way Mr. Jerry has, because when I see somebody who this has been in their family for 60 years, now I know a lot of y'all are going to ask what variety of peaches these was. Well, Mr. Jerry told me he got to doing some research and he found out that this particular peach is a white peach. It was, he said the name of it was called the Queen of Georgia, which, if I'm not mistaken, the Belle of Georgia is the same thing as the Queen of Georgia.
They're similar.
Huh?
They may be real similar.
They're real similar if they're not exactly the same. These trees were first, I'm going to use the word created, in the 1800s, late 1800s, Mr. Jerry told me. And they're an heirloom. They've been in existence that long. I did come home and look up a little bit on them. They do say that they're a little drought resistant and insect resistant, or disease resistant, not insect, but disease resistant to a certain point. And perhaps that's why they've done as well as they have. And the thing about it is that one reason I wanted these from Mr. Jerry, because Mr. Jerry doesn't live but maybe, I don't know what, 20 miles from us, 15, 20 miles from us. He is in the same area, let's just say, that we are in the South. And if these trees are already acclimated to his environment where he lives at, then perhaps they will be acclimated to the environment where I live. Now, I know my elevation may be different than his because we're really high. But other than that, and our soils may be a little different. Mr. Jerry looked like he was more in a creek bottom place than what we are. A fertile
creek bottom, yeah.
Yeah, it's old creek bottom in there. You can tell he's right next to a creek in there. Well, we are like right here. We got a creek right down in here. Ain't much difference, but his land was more level. He probably didn't lose a lot of his topsoil over the years. And plus, he planted in an old garden spot. Now, this is not an old garden spot, but it was a garden spot last year. And it's basically, if you want to just be honest with you, it's new ground. Because I actually pushed and cleared this. It looked just like these woods out here when we first came here. And I pushed and cleared it. I didn't push the topsoil off. I just pushed the trees up, shook the dirt off of them, got rid of the trees. So we still have our topsoil here. And I did flat break it last year. So the ground, you can tell when I go to stick a shovel in the ground here, the ground is very mellow. I don't even have to hardly push on it. I mean, it's very mellow because we flat broke it last year. But guys, when you run across somebody that's as successful at doing something like Mr. Jerry was, you need to listen as much. You need to listen twice as much as you talk. And I hope that that's what I've done when I was out there, because every word he said about these trees, about his place, I tried to suck in every bit of the information I could. Now, this ain't the only thing he gave me. He took me around back and gave me a bunch of quince trees that had come up. Now, I haven't got them planted yet. I'm still working on the peaches. The quinces we're going to plant around. I may put a couple in the corners of my food plots and some out here around on our other orchard over here. I love quinces. And the thing you need to know about quinces is quinces are very, very high in pectin. And they're in the same group as the apple family is. Now, they're a little bitter to eat, but make the best jelly. And if you can't get a hold of pectin, quinces are really good for using for like making gel, like if you need to make jellies and stuff like that. The pectin out of quinces can help you make that happen. And being on a homestead, we want to have as much natural stuff here as we possibly can.
The rosemary here is still going and looks great, even though it's been cold. We usually don't have too much trouble with rosemary. It usually hangs in there even through a winter. The potatoes, not sure. They kind of may have froze. We're not 100% sure.
Guy, sweet potato, laying on top of the ground out here through all these hard freezes, did not kill it.
So we're going to have slips.
I'm going to stick it in the ground right here in the raised
Danny's
bed.
putting sweet potatoes in here for slips, so this will be our slip bed.
These are just ones I'm finding out here. If they made it through this hard freeze and didn't die and rot, oh, that's good. And I want to mention something else Mr. Jerry told me. It just dawned on me. We was at his place, and he had 3 oak trees standing out by his garden. 2 of them were about this big around. One of them was like this big around. It was huge. And he told me, he said, you know, Danny, he said, when I had my garden out here, he said, I believe there's something to that electric culture. He said, because I had an electric fence run around that garden, and it went by that oak tree. He had a piece of PVC on that oak tree there to keep that electric wire from shorting out. He says, and he didn't realize it, but that electric wire burned a place in that tree about that long and about that deep. He said, just cut right into that tree, just burned its way into that tree, burnt through the PVC, burnt right into the tree. And he said, look at that tree. Look at these other 2 sitting here right beside it. That tree is almost twice the size in diameter from all that electric current sitting there shocking into it, we believe, than the other 2 that's standing right there by it. He said, it's the only explanation I have. He said, they're all in the same exact environment, same exact place. He said, that was twice the size of the others. I also want to mention that Mr. Mickey from Hills Mill sent me some fruit orchard electroculture rods. Now, as soon as I get through with planting these peach trees, I'm going to come out here and put the sticks, because the instructions tells you how long to cut the sticks and tells you what to do and how to do it and how big an area they cover. I'm going to probably go between some of the peach trees here, and I'm going to put them in between some of these peach trees because it has a radius that it reaches for a certain area. And I probably will purchase some more of them so I got enough to do the whole orchard out of. Because if it works, I mean, guys, look, I'm into doing whatever it takes to make stuff produce and produce abundantly.
All right, our onions are doing okay, the few that I have in here. But all the potatoes, none of them, I mean, we got a good cold spell, so there's none right now. They may come back out. They usually do if they don't freeze the potato. This bed was totally empty. I didn't put anything in it. But look at the carrots. We've had them covered. And I mean, they are doing amazing. So we know we'll have carrots if nothing happens. I got to pull this back over and cover it and keep stuff off, at least frost and ice off of them, and they'll do just fine. And this one I planted English peas and the onions, and you can see they're running up here doing great. But look at this. That one is blooming, and we've got a few carrots that did manage to make it. These onions are doing great. These are multiplying onions. That one right there is blooming. These are running, and see the few little carrots that did come up. They're not growing very much, but they're there. And then here, carrots still in the middle, and 2 or 3 English peas down here.
Those carrots weren't covered.
No, these were not covered at all. None of these carrots were covered. So we're going to keep the raised bed and add a few things into it and turn all this into Danny's peach orchard, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So you're putting the ashes around it and in it.
And I'm doing all of it here. Rabbit manure, I'm turning it all into the soil, the rabbit manure, the ashes. I'm making sure the soil's really deep down in there, and where the roots on the peach tree can go down and not have any problems. Because these are...
That's a big peach tree there.
You can't, I mean, guys.
How much would that be in town?
Oh, good Lord. If you bought this thing in town, it'd be $75.
And probably not near the...
And not near the quality.
Root structure on it.
No.
Because they tend to trim their roots lots of times.
Most of these nurseries prune all these roots way back and everything. And these roots here have not... They've not been pruned. I mean... They are in excellent condition, I'm telling you. Way better than anything you're going to get out of a store. That's why I like to deal with people who know what they're doing. And we'll water all these in eventually. But right now, I'm just trying to get everything planted, and then I'll come back and do all my watering.
Planted and pruned.
Planted and pruned. Lots of people, you know, I mean, it even hurts me, but, you know, you sit here and you go, gosh, should I cut that off? You know, but I'm just following Mr. Jerry's advice. I can't argue with success.
This one's got to be cut.
And I'm looking for that bud sticking out to the side. There it is. And that's it. Now what I'll do, as the lateral branches come out on this, I'll pick 4, 5 lateral branches down here, and I'll kind of space them out. Everything else I'll cut off and I'll leave. Push that air out right now, and then I've got a hole there I can come back and pour water in, and it'll all seep down in there. Okay. I got one little peach tree left, and I'll be finished with the peaches, and we can move on to the quinces. Thank you guys from Pecan Grove.